Hi guys, today I will be talking about the history of Apple, from humble beginnings to a global phenomenon and the most influential company in the world. Let's get right into it. On August 11, 1950, Steve Wozniak, the later founder of Apple, is born. And on February 24, 1955, Steve Jobs, the later co-founder of Apple and best friend of Steve Wozniak, is born. In the late 60s and early 70s, Steve Jobs has a passion for building electronics in his garage. It is around this time he met Steve Wozniak, who also enjoys building computers. In June 1975, Steve Wozniak tests out a computer, and Steve Jobs convinced him to start a company together. In 1976, Steve Jobs' request came true. The name Apple was chosen for the new company as Steve Jobs just came back from an apple orchard and felt it would make the computers feel more friendly. On April 11, 1976, the Apple I, Apple's first product, is released. In 1977, Michael Scott was persuaded by Mike Markkula to take the CEO position at Apple, as the co-founders, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, were both seen as insufficiently experienced for the job at the time. Finally, 1 year after the Apple I is released, Apple's second product, the Apple II, is released. In November 1980, the Apple III was released. But there was one problem. It kept overheating, and the only way to fix it was to take it and smash it on the floor. On February 25, 1981, Michael Scott abruptly fired 40 employees. This event was known as Black Wednesday. This showed his dissatisfaction with the Apple II team. 2 months later, Michael Scott left and got replaced by Mike Markkula. In 1983, John Sculley took over as CEO. Later that year, on June 15, 1983, Steve Jobs gave the following speech about the future of computers.
Apple's strategy is really simple. What we want to do is we want to put an incredibly great computer in a book that you can carry around with you, that you can learn how to use in 20 minutes. We don't know how to do that now. It's impossible technically. So we had three options. One was to do nothing. The second one was to put a piece of garbage computer in a book. And we can do that, but our competitors are doing that, so we don't need to do that. The third option was to design the computer that we want to put into the book eventually, even though we can't put it into the book now. And right now, it fits in a bread box, and it's $10,000, and it's called Lisa. The next thing we will do is we will find a way to put it in a shoebox and sell it for like $2,500, and that'll be the next step. And finally, we'll find a way to get it in a book and sell it for under $1,000.
On January 19, 1983, the Lisa computer was released. It was the first computer to have graphical user interface, which is an interface that is easy to use and navigate through. On January 24, 1984, the Macintosh is released. The Macintosh was one of the first computers to have a mouse. In February 1985, Steve Wozniak left Apple. This was later followed by Steve Jobs clashing with the CEO John Sculley because of decreased power. Finally, Steve Jobs decided to leave Apple and create his new company called Next Incorporated. After Steve Jobs left, both companies struggled. First of all, Next Incorporated computers were very expensive, so they decided to focus on operating systems. In 1975, Windows was introduced, but it was incompatible with Apple computers. Apple needed a new modern operating system, and Next Incorporated needed the help of a major company to support it. Due to the struggle, Apple purchased Next Incorporated in 1996 for $400 million. Steve Jobs became interim CEO. Many projects during Jobs' absence got dismissed. On August 15, 1998, the iMac got released. On October 23, 2001, the iPod, a portable music player, was released. On April 28, 2003, the Apple Music Store released. Before, to listen to music, people would have to buy entire albums. Now they could buy a singular song for 99 cents. On May 16, 2006, the first MacBook gets released. On January 9th, 2007, Apple TV releases. On June 29th, 2007, the iPhone is released. On July 10th, 2008, the App Store is released. On April 3rd, 2010, the iPad releases. On March 2nd, 2011, Steve Jobs struggles with cancer, but he still manages to present the iPad 2. This is seen as a very significant event and is very iconic. On August 24th, 2011, Steve Jobs resigned from Apple and Tim Cook became CEO. On April 24th, 2015, the Apple Watch releases. On December 13th, 2016, the wireless AirPod released. On September 12th, 2018, Apple reaches $1 trillion valuation. In 2020, a new operator called the Apple Silicon was released. Its pros were improved performance, enhanced energy efficiency, and better integration with Apple's ecosystem. On February 2nd, 2024, the Apple Vision Pro is released. Now that we talked about the history of Apple, what might Apple be like in the future? Well, first of all, they might continue improving their AI and focusing on the Apple Vision Pro, and also improving their operating systems. Thank you guys for watching my presentation. I hope you have a great day. Bye.